Hi everybody, it's the Soap Man and it's time to cut some soap that I've made. So I did on this one what's usually known as the column pour, where you put a column in the center of your mold and pour a thin, slow-moving batter on top of it. The only thing I didn't do was use the column. I just poured it directly into the center of the mold. So I used black oxide, titanium dioxide, King Tut Gold from Mad Micas, and Iris Purple from Nurture Soap. And I used orange cognac fragrance from Nurture Soap. I thought I poured it too thin because I really thought all the colors were muddling together, because the top really does not look all that spectacular. But once I split the log, it actually looks like it did okay. This was an unusual soap. Usually 18 to 24 hours, it pops right out of a silicone mode, no problem. 48 hours, it was still not budging at all, and I was leaving town, so this sat in the mold for 6 days, and I still had a little bit of minimal trouble getting it out. And then even the 7th day later, I'm ready to cut it. It was still a little bit tacky, but it is finally firm now and ready to cut. And I do believe that it's going to turn out okay. But you're going to find out with me. Yeah, it's not a hard bar. It's easy to cut through. 7 days later, I believe. But, oh yeah, the inside did just beautifully. And every bar will be strangely different. I shouldn't say strangely different, but considerably different, just because the way the pour went. So when I poured it down in the center, I actually made sort of like a spider web design on the top, and I pushed it all the way down through. So see, each bar is significantly different. A little bit sticky too. So let's cut the other log, and it will probably be significantly different from this one. That's just kind of the nature of this pour. I'm just surprised at how soft it still is 7 days later. And ideally, with this type of cut, what you do is cut it horizontally instead of vertically, but I don't get as many bars that way, and I find that this cut gives a really dramatic looking bar just the same. And then here we're toward the center where it's actually poured, and then where the spider web design begins. So each bar is just strikingly different, which is one thing I really like about this pour. Even though traditionally you cut it the opposite way, I'm just amazed at what the bars look like when I cut it the normal way. So give me a minute and I'll line these up and take a picture of all of them. So be right back. Hi everybody, this is our final cut for June. So this is the large batch with my Workshop Heritage mold, and everything went beautifully. So on my base layer, I had Blue Klein, I had Purple Vibrance, both from Nurture Soap, and this was Aqua Pearl from Brambleberry, and a mica vein in it. And I've scented this with Apple Sage from Brambleberry. The pour went beautifully. I tell you, I cannot stress this enough, how sold I am on soaping at room temperature and only hand stirring until you're ready to pour. I wish I had done it years ago. So in other words, I mixed the oils and lye up the night before. The next morning when I was ready to soap, it was room temperature. I combined the lye and water. I took a wire whisk and vigorously stirred it for about 2 minutes. then put it into my individual containers, and everything just poured liquid thin. You see what a nice thin line, nice straight lines I got there on these? It's because of that. It just poured liquid thin, water thin, and I had to wait for these to set up, but because these hadn't been stick blended yet, they stayed water thin even after I stick blended. So just really sold on that. I wish I had done it years ago, but I know now. I was going to texture these layers, that was the original intent, but I had to wait so long for these to set up. I thought, no, I'm going to just take advantage of these perfectly straight lines, just like you get from melt and pour. Now it's a little busier with the colors than I preferred. I poured it a little bit differently. I might go back, and this is 15% accent. In other words, like the base, I took 15%, and that was how much I used accent. I might do it 10%. I was trying, 10% usually works, but I thought I would try 15. It got a little busy, and then the different pour actually caused it to swirl a little bit more. So I'm going to continue with, stay with 10% next time and continue pouring. I just pour it into one corner, let the entire batch pour into one corner and flood the mold, spread out. I started doing that, and then I did it sort of like a drop swirl, and I think that got it a little bit too busy, especially having 15% instead of 10% accent. Love this color combination. Here's the center log. They all look mostly the same. And see, I see a little bit of waviness right there. That's because it took so long for these layers to set up, and I was a little bit impatient. I pierced it just a little bit in a few places, and I was careful. I poured it over a spatula to break the fall. But you know what I always say, it's soap. And I'm definitely going to stick with this method regardless. I wish I had done it years ago. The mica line stands out prominently. I don't know if the camera picks it up or not, but it really shows up in the soap. So that's what I have. And I'll line these up and take a photo. And like always, thanks for watching. Y'all stay safe, take good care of yourselves, and be blessed. And I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.